They can literally, and this sounds like such science fiction, but it's not. Every emotion that you have is a frequency. They can send emotions to you, they can send thoughts to you. Everything is, we are a frequency. Everything is frequency. I mean, if you study physics, you study what Tesla was doing, everything is frequency, right? And so every vitamin, every mineral, every emotion, thoughts are frequency. I had scientists on maybe 8 years ago. My this Phil Catalino just came on again, but he has 5 science degrees. Used to work for JPL and NASA. Right, very high level, respected scientist, and he was on my program like all the time, and we were talking about one of the things that they developed, which was to get crickets out of a field. Right, they wanted an organic method to get these bug infestations out of a field, and so what they did, and they got paid to do this. They would send a message to the cricket that this field is awful. This is a terrible field, but that field over there is amazing. So they did a push and pull and it worked. The crickets would all leave and they go to the other field, right? They can do this with people. We're not that, I mean, we have emotion frequencies too. That's why I push so hard on us having some recognition, starting to tune in to these signals that we're getting so that we can control it and not just be manipulated by it. I know it sounds like woo, but it's not. It's really simple science. It's not simple, but it is. It's a simple concept. And if we start to realize that, this is where I know you have a lot of religious people and so do I, but I think my Christian, which is almost my entire audience, are accepting of this because they don't read it literally. They understand it in a more broad sense. Actually, they might read it literally, but I'm going to redefine what the literal meaning of it is. We get these sensory data all the time. And now we're getting it through all this crap that they're sending us. And so when the Bible says, don't go, don't go to psychics and don't do remote viewing, don't do all that stuff. And then they shut they won't even go there. I challenge that. And I say, especially remote viewing, because the remote viewing is just reading the sensory data that's coming in. I challenge that and say, we absolutely have to start getting good at this and refining this because we're being bombarded with it synthetically. And we get the sensory data. Like I had Julie Asher on, whose son has extreme autism. And he's actually one of the highest studied people now by really good scientists from Johns Hopkins and Harvard and great backgrounds. And they're really taking this stuff seriously. What happens is they're realizing that autistic kids, or a lot of them, I don't know if it's all, but a lot of them are not able to filter out the sensory data. They're just overwhelmed. That's why if they get this like loud noise or they're in these environments, they're just kind of like they can't handle it. It's because they're getting all this sensory data. And they're realizing that these kids and these now he's an adult are able to read thoughts and anticipate future events and know all these languages, compose music. They're able to do all these things. It's really incredible. She was on the telepathy tapes and it was the most popular podcast in the world at that day because so many people are interested in it. And if we really are getting sensory data, then shouldn't we have discernment of what we're actually getting and what's real and become good at it so we're not easily manipulated? I think that test the spirits, when Jesus said that, test the spirits, I think that's what that is. Get discernment. We need to figure this out because otherwise we are completely hosed. We will be manipulated. We won't be able to, we are sitting ducks for being completely manipulated with this new technology that's coming out. I know it sounds crazy. It's not. I hope people take this seriously.
Oh, I mean, and I've had a lot of these same thoughts and also conversations as well. And kind of how I look at it is I do think that there's a very kind of dogmatic kind of religious perspective of like, that's evil, that's evil, that's evil. And I think that we've been warned about these things for certain reasons. Like, let's just say kind of, say someone is a psychic, right? That kind of, what does that mean, right? Now, if I'm a believer and I have these senses and I have these intuitions it's like, that could be God talking to me, right? I think that's what that is. It's God, I think, understanding frequencies and all these things, to me, that actually proves even more so the existence of God, because it's like,
100%.
this is God's design. It's amazing. I think the warning is when people, it's like, look at the church, how it used to be. Okay. We're not going to allow you to even read the Bible. We're going to be the conduit to tell you what the Bible says. And that's where the risk is that when someone puts more faith in a psychic than God, right? And that's where we can be misled, is because if you say you have this person who's a psychic and you're like, well, the Bible says not to kind of go there, but I'm really curious, and you go there, that psychic could be reading thoughts from a demon. You know what I mean? That are misguiding you.
Certainly is. And that's what I'm talking about, making sure you get that discernment.
Yeah.
And getting good at it. Because I've been studying remote viewing for the last year and a half, because I'm like, what is all this? And I wanted to understand. I'm actually getting kind of good at it, where it's amazing what you can do. But I won't go into any dark stuff. Like but you can get discernment, you can feel it, you can see if it's real or not, or what. And I think it's so important. And I think you're absolutely right. And this is the discernment that I think that we were warned against. If they can use these emotions against us, that is the discernment. And learn to understand it. You can't just trust the psychic blindly. That's not good, right? You have to develop your own abilities to read this. We all have these abilities, and have this discernment, because otherwise we really are sitting ducks. And I think that is truly what that was warning against. The more I learn about how all this stuff works, the more I'm like, wow, they were warning about this. And it is even more important that we develop these skills, and that we have these discernment, and understand when it's something we can trust and when it's something that we can't. It's going to be a hard road until we get control of these algorithms, and we start having transparency, and we start saying, hey, heck with it. They can't do this to us.
Did you know that in the last few centuries, over 500,000 bells have been destroyed? There were literally bell graveyards. Now, the textbooks tell us that this was to use the metal, but if you've ever gone down this rabbit hole, you discover that the sounds that these bells made had amazing healing properties. There are even claims that certain regions with lots of these bells, church bells, etc., were mostly untouched by the bubonic plague. Now, your doctor might call you a conspiracy nut for thinking that, but even modern science recognizing the healing power of sound. So check out this study from the NIH. Doctors used sound therapy on chronic back pain, and they found, quote, significant reductions in pain sensation and pain-related disability. But here's the best part. You don't need some fancy, expensive sound equipment to find relief. So a woman named Linda Bamber Olson created something called the Wave Watch. So this little device has over 1,200 frequencies that you can use for everything from joint pain to brain fog to insomnia. So I've got one, and I've been using it for about 6 months. This is it right here. And I can tell you honestly that it works. Like if I'm feeling sickly or have something kind of coming on, it's the first thing that I'll reach for. And honestly, I start feeling better within minutes. And that's literally my firsthand experience with it. Even my little kids love wearing it. And here's how much Linda believes in this watch. So if you get one and you don't notice any improvements, you can send it back for a full refund within 30 days. No questions asked. So do something for yourself and for your family and get a Wave Watch for yourself today. Just go to wavewatch.com/Seth, or just use the promo code Seth to save 15% on your purchase. Again, that's wavewatch.com/Seth, or you just use promo code Seth to save 15% on your purchase. And those details are in the description below.